Okay, we're going to talk today a little bit about one of the major issues that you see with lagoons that we see and most lagoons encounter, and that is short-circuiting. So short-circuiting is basically when water goes into the lagoons and doesn't get a full treatment. An example would be you may have a two-cell lagoon system and your water may be coming in, say here at one corner, maybe crossing over to the second lagoon, and then possibly discharging from the second lagoon. So as water comes in, what can happen a lot of times, depending on how the pipes are placed and the temperature of the water and the prevailing winds and sludge buildup, there's a lot of different things that can have a factor. But what might happen is the water may leave the treatment and not get treated down here, may short circuit out, because water will tend to go to the outside edges as it comes into the lagoon because of the slope sides. That's the way the hydraulics of a lagoon work. It may not always necessarily head out to the middle. So you may have, say, 10, 20, 30 days of retention time here, but you're only getting a few. And especially if there's some sludge in there, you may get even less. Same thing may happen over here where the water comes in and it may just skirt around the edge and out of the lagoon, and you may be leaving 40, 50, 60% of your lagoon unaffected and untreated. So that may not be a problem for a long time, but then if you start getting more stringent limits or have more flows coming in and you need more retention time for this flow, you want to make sure you're using the entire lagoon. So what we do with the ProFusion, which is a 1 horsepower surface aerator pump, it pumps 600 gallons a minute, and you can draw from any depth that you want. And another unique feature about it is you can discharge in any direction. So you can set it up to swirl or shoot out in all directions. But what we would sometimes recommend in some facilities is what we call a hydraulic curtain. So that might be simply where you take the ProFusions and you may put a cable across the lagoons as an example, and then you may place these ProFusions, and they're all 1 horsepower, single or 3-phase, and push all the water in one direction like this against, and they have multiple ports, so you may put a fan where you're basically fanning the water out, and so you may want to push against the natural flow to block the exit of the lagoon. And so what you'll see is you get this, all these push in one direction against the natural flow of the lagoon, and it'll get a big treatment and mix going. And if you concentrate your horsepower in one place, like let's say you put a 5 or 10 horsepower aerator in or mixer and you put it out in the middle, that may not be the best solution. That may actually push your waste out a little quicker. So the best, what we recommend doing is putting smaller amounts of horsepower and spreading it out, and you'll have a much better and bigger effect. Same thing goes over here. You may want to put across the corner of a lagoon and block the outlet and put your ProFusions into push against the flow like that to push and fan across. Or you may decide that we look at the hydraulics of the lagoon, you may put one here and just push right against the headworks or the water that's coming in, and so that water can't enter that lagoon, that it doesn't get fanned and spread out. It may take very little horsepower to make that kind of an effect. Another thing you might want to do is, depending on the size of the lagoon, if you're looking at a real big lagoon, you might take your ProFusions, and they have tails on them, which has a debris guard that can be set at any depth for intake. So what you might do is put the intake behind, and then the flow goes in and then out to each of the ProFusions, and you build kind of a train where they feed each other, and you can push water really a long distance across the lagoon on little horsepower and really cover a lot of area. And you may set up several of these trains, and they're all push in one direction, or maybe some push forward and some push back. You may want to swirl it. So short circuiting is a big problem in a lot of lagoons, and the 1 horsepower ProFusion has many options that can help really eliminate and help with short circuiting.